Hey guys, you ready to hear about the number one way to market in your area that everyone knows about, but no one is doing? We're talking about no competition, low cost, and it gets you a high return on your money. That's what we're going to learn today from Chris Arnold on the Fearless Investor Podcast. Hey, welcome in, guys. You're listening to me, Kyle Stanley, and we are going to be joined today by Chris Arnold, who is talking about one of the most unheard of marketing campaigns and marketing channels in today's world that really just seem to me like really that works. And so I'm excited for you to hear that, but I want to help you to get as much information as possible. So I want to make sure, number one, are you subscribed to our YouTube channel and have you hit that notification bell? If you have not, make sure to do that. It will alert you every time we have a new video coming out. And of course, are you subscribed to the podcast as well? Have you reviewed us? Have you given us that 5 stars? We would love for you to be able to do that. If you're subscribed to the podcast, every time you open up that library, it's going to go ahead and show you when we have a new episode that comes out, which again is every Tuesday and Thursday. And would love to just continue to educate you. Airbnb, real estate investing, overall investments. That's what we're talking about here. We want to help you be a fearless investor by knowing your numbers, by knowing strategies. And today is no different. It's knowing your marketing channel and how you're going to get out to the most people, to get the most qualified leads, to get inbound calls coming your way. How great is that? Not having to do the whole cold calling and getting hung up on and getting cussed at. That's something that any real estate investor is used to. How would you like to have people calling you that are more qualified? And that's what we're going to talk about today with Chris Arnold. Hey, welcome into another episode of The Fearless Investor. We got Chris Arnold from Tulum, Mexico coming in, and I'm excited about the topic today. This is something that honestly I didn't really think we'd be talking about in this day and age. It is as Chris puts it, the number one thing that everyone knows about in marketing for wholesaling, but that no one actually does. So you're going to find out about that today. But Chris, thanks for being on the show, man.
What's up, Kyle? Glad to be here, man. Glad to hang out.
Awesome. Hey, got to jump right into it and ask you, what is the most interesting or strangest real estate investing story you've got for our audience?
Definitely the first deal I ever done. I think we all know what that first deal looks like. I didn't know much about investing at the time. And in a nutshell, my negotiation process was taking the seller to a Mexican restaurant with my business partner. We were negotiating over chips and salsa, but the irony was, because we were at the table together, he would give a counter and my business partner and I would have to run to the bathroom, talk about it, come back to the table, get another counter. So I'm laughing because we're getting up and back from the table, going to the bathroom to counter and negotiate. And we did this all over some chips and salsa and some enchiladas, man. And that was how I locked up my first deal. Not efficient. But we got the first one under contract.
I usually say if I can have a beer with you, I can do business with you, but chips and salsa works too. So that's good. That's awesome, man. Well, hey, catch our audience up. Who are you? What got you into real estate? Let's just hear the backstory.
Yeah, man. So I've been in real estate for 15 years. Man, I started from the brokerage side, which I still have today. Fix and flip, wholesaling. I run a mastermind for some of the top real estate guys in the country and do nationwide education. So, it is like you get in, and the thing I love about real estate is there's so many different revenue streams and ways that you can develop. And so that's what keeps me under that umbrella, is because there's a lot of opportunity. But in a nutshell, doing it 15 years, I run a completely virtual company. So no brick and mortar with any of my businesses. So I live in Tulum, Mexico full time. And at this point in my career, I've done roughly about 2,500 transactions.
2,500. That's amazing. What got you into real estate?
Man, for me, I've always viewed real estate as a delivery system for me to be able to impact the world. It's a vehicle that simply gives me what I consider the most important freedoms. Freedom of time, freedom of location, freedom of thought, and I think freedom of resources. And if you have that type of freedom, if you have a heart for something, or you want to do something from a cause base, I think that real estate is an incredible vehicle to really kind of really perch your life up in a way that you can, go after those ambitions and be able to, write the check yourself. You don't have to run around and raise money to do it.
That's awesome. I really think there's a lot of, sides to that answer that you have there, which is, the opportunity to help other people, the opportunity to do it as a cause. Some people say, yes, that is. And other people say no, that's not possible in real estate. What arguments do you have that help show people that this is something that you can do to change your life and other people's lives?
Yeah. So to give you an example, my real estate company that I first established, I was able to get to a point where now I have a leadership team and a chief operating officer. So that business runs without me. I'm not involved in the day to day. I'm truly in the visionary role. So all of a sudden, I have resources and I have time and I have energy. And so what did I do? I really wanted to lead leaders and influence influencers. And so with a brotherhood I run, work with the top real estate guys in the country. And the thing that we're craving is not to just be better businessmen, but we want to be better fathers,
Mm.
better husbands, better leaders. And so that freedom, that initial real estate company and my team has freed me up to go really minister to who I consider great leaders in the country, but are dealing with the biggest problem, and that's they're isolated and they're alone because as a leader, it's lonely at the top. We've always
Tough.
heard that. And man, you put a community of men together who have each other's backs, who are there to, as they say, iron sharpens iron. And that's an incredible thing. It's been life-changing for me, even more so for the guys within the community. So that's an example of how I took that first business to catapult me into the next community.
That's awesome. Super cool, man. I'm definitely envious of you being able to have the time and freedom to be able to do that. So that's super cool. Talk to me about what you were doing before real estate.
Before that, I was in grad school. So I went, it was like the first thing I did as soon as I got out of grad school, I jumped right into real estate. And so, man, before that was just like straight schooling, man.
There you go. You knew right from the get-go that real estate was the answer. I didn't
Yeah. And
find
I,
that
and
out
I
till I
never
was
figured
30.
out it was really a 50-50 deal. I knew I wanted a vehicle. Being 25 at the time, I don't know anything about business. So I look at people around me that seem to have, great lifestyles and seem to, be wealthy. And I'm like, they're either involved in, the stock market or they're involved in real estate. And I'm not that strong at math. So process of elimination, I'm in real estate. I mean, it wasn't some sophisticated plan. I was just like, that's a direction that makes sense. And that's what got me at least going down that road, which was the most important thing. Just get on the road and start going down it.
That's really cool. I feel like there's a lot of people that are younger generation now that are getting into real estate at an earlier age. And I really love seeing that because I didn't know about real estate being a true vehicle for freedom until I was really 30, 31 years old. So I think that's awesome, man. So tell us about your, we talked a little bit before we got on this interview here. You are doing some really interesting marketing things with your wholesaling business. And it kind of blew me away what exactly is working for you. So floor is yours. Let's share that with the audience.
Yeah. So a little bit of background, man. I'm a marketing guy, right?
Okay.
And I have tried everything when it comes to marketing. I mean, you name it, direct mail to bandit signs to, cold calling and text. I mean, just everything. But that's what we should do, right? As entrepreneurs, we should try to find those marketing channels that work. But I have one now that I've been doing for 10 years. And without question, it is the best marketing channel I've ever put in place. To give you an example, off this channel alone last year, we did 770,000 in revenue off this one channel.
Wow.
Absolutely. So for us, that's roughly people that are doing math. Our average wholesale deal is maybe around 14,000 for Dallas Fort Worth. Again, that's where my base is, but I run it virtually. We do deals there. And so that's roughly somewhere around 55 transactions somewhere in there just off of that source. So it's radio, and people, when I start connecting the dots, it's going to like go off in your head so fast. This happens every time. So here's the first thing someone's going to go, dude, radio's been around forever. Like that is like prehistoric. And I go, you're absolutely right. And guess what? So is your demographic. Your demographic, if you look at your closing, and this is true for people nationwide, is primarily over the age of 50.
Yep.
That's who we're going after. That's primarily our demographic. So let me ask you this. What do you think people over the age of 50 do? What is ingrained in them? Two things they were raised on: radio and television. And so when you start backing into the fact they listen to radio, and then on top of that, they listen to a certain genre of
Right.
radio, right? Think about your grandparents, what type of music they listening to, things like classic rock or classical music or old school country, different things like that. All of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, what an easy way to get in front of the type of person that I know most of my deals are coming from. So that's the first thing that I would tell you. And what I would tell you is, with this channel, there's virtually no competition. So the second question I'll ask the audience is, who do you know in your area that's utilizing radio to generate motivated seller leads? And you're
No
going to
one.
go,
No one.
no one.
Yeah.
And then you're going to step back and go, why is that? And I'll tell you the two reasons. I gave you number one, you think you are your demographic and you listen to Spotify
Right.
or Pandora, and you're going, well, dude, you're not your demographic.
Yep.
The demographic is not you. They do that. The second thing you're going to assume is, man, it's radio. It's not affordable. It's expensive. And you start on radio with a budget of $1,000 to $2,000 a month. My first station was $1,500 a month. So this is why it's so great for newbies. That's it.
Wow.
And so I coach people nationwide, east to west coast, and we get everyone started right between $1,000 to $2,000, and we snowball it from there and help them grow. So then you're like, oh my gosh, I'm probably spending more on that than direct mail. Man, I could allocate that over to something that's creating an inbound call that's quality, because I'll hit this last point and let you just kind of chop this up. It's the highest quality lead I know how to generate, because let's compare it to direct mail. Over half the calls on direct mail are hate calls because we're spamming people's mailboxes. Let's be honest. The same is true with RVMing and text blasting. People just do not like being spammed. Radio's professional, right? No one ever calls us as a company and complains because we're advertising on a radio.
Right.
They call us, they're highly motivated. They're ready to do something. So it'd be like, let's say you're a fan of direct mail. If you could push this magic button and get rid of all the crap calls on direct mail and only get the quality ones, that's fundamentally what radio is in a nutshell.
That's awesome. Okay, so I want to go over that one more time, because there was 5 things that I heard that were super like if you're exactly. If you're sitting here and you're like, man, I don't want to do the cold calling stuff. I've got money for direct mail, but I also don't want to get the hate mail. And I think that's a big thing too for a lot of people is direct mail. It takes time. It takes a lot of faith that it's going to pan out, and you could be, spending $2,000, $3,000 a month for 6 months before you actually close your first deal, because it's that repetition that really makes the deal. But this, you like a few things. It's hitting the demographic that you want. It's so funny how like we think that what we're interested in is what everyone interested in, but no, your demographic is not listening to Spotify and Pandora. There's no competition. No one else is doing it in the market. It's affordable. I'm blown away that it's between $1,000 to $2,000. I thought it was going to be like $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month, no doubt. The thing that I like that I'm hearing, no hate calls, because you're getting pre-qualified leads. So that's number 4 and 5 there that I took away. So I guess like Chris, my question would be along the lines of like the numbers. How many leads do you feel like you're getting off of one radio campaign every month, or do you track that?
So let me break it down, and we'll do it again. I'm going to compare direct mail because I think a lot of people do it and can understand this. So the strategy with direct mail is a high volume of lead, but lower quality. Radio is on the other side. It's a much lower volume, but a much higher quality lead. So this is why I know that radio is so good, particularly even for someone that's newer, or even like myself. I don't want to be bothered with a marketing channel. I mean, you ever feel like you launch a marketing channel and all of a sudden you just feel like you launched an entire another job in your business? Like it's another department.
Right.
You don't get that with radio. So the 2 things I would say is it's really easy to manage from an inbound call standpoint because the quality is lower. Right? But it's much higher volume, quality in the sense of the call. The second thing is, here's the best part. It's set it and forget it. So direct mail, like again, everyone's fighting over the list to get the best list, and we're all trying to list stack, and everyone's got their super secret to get the better list. And then you're tweaking a direct mail card, and should it be pink or yellow this month? And how aggressive should I go on last notice or any of that type of stuff? Then we're dealing with all the volume coming in and the mail drops. And did the mail company drop at the times they were supposed to? Radio, you just pay your bill. The radio company manages all of it. And literally all you have to do is answer the phone. So to answer your question, from a call volume standpoint, it's not only a lower manageable call volume, it's low maintenance on the entire marketing channel itself. It's fundamentally set it and forget it. Just pay your bill and answer the phone. That's it.
Great. That's great. So when you get an inbound call, number of deals that you're closing when you get a call from a radio lead?
So, I mean, for us, it's roughly 1 out of 20 leads. And again, that's like closed out. So again, a couple of those could be solicitation maybe. Again, you get people that don't have enough equity, whatever that might be. So most of that stuff is wiped out by a condition. Or you just have a seller that doesn't really want to go as low as you need them to, right? There's multiple things. So 1 out of 20 is really good. Again, that's our numbers. Across the nation, it could be different from person to person, but I'm giving you mine. But here's the real question you're asking. What is the return on radio?
Yes.
And again, you can look at cost per lead, cost per acquisition. Again, we track all of that, but here's the number that really matters. It's your dollar per dollar return.
Yep.
So if you're newer, let me explain this KPI or this metric. For every dollar you spend, you measure the value of your marketing by how many dollars you get back. It's like a Coke machine. If I put $1 in this Coke machine, how many dollars is it going to spit back out at me? And radio is always between $3 to $4. So for every dollar you're putting in, that Coke machine is somewhere between 3 to 4 kicking back out, which here's an easy way to say it. You're either tripling or quadrupling your investment. And I see that consistent across the board, east to west coast, with myself and all my students. And that, again, I have a big budget, right? I'm spending like $27.5 a month. And my exact dollar per dollar return stays at $3.50. So I'm right there in the middle of that 3 to 4 return.
That's amazing.
And that's the most important number.
That's amazing. So you mentioned how we're kind of comparing it to direct mail. You're saying 3 to 4 times the return, but with direct mail, like I mentioned, some people get into it and they're like, hey, I got to be patient. I got to wait 6 months. What is the expected realistic timeline of, like, if I start radio today, when will I be getting my first deal?
Yeah. And this is true. I know as we're talking about this, here's what people start to say. Wow, this is really good. This is almost too good to be true, but I've done this for 10 years and I didn't show anyone until I realized I wasn't going to try to take over the nation. So my deal is, like, I'm not doing radio in every metroplex. I've got my moat. And so if you're doing it in Arkansas or Chicago or wherever you're listening from, I don't care. Just don't come into my area, and we have a moat around what we're doing.
Nice.
Right? So getting back to the call volume starting, here's how it works. You're dealing with an audience that has never heard your message, and that audience is not list dependent. So here's where the competition lies. Everyone's fighting over a list. Now, you might cold call that list, RVM that list, text, whatever you want to do, direct mail. When you get on radio, you're hitting people that aren't list dependent. They're not getting text. They're not getting pieces of direct mail. So what we see with our students is the call volume starts to come in immediately. And I would say that, not all, but I would say that a good chunk of our students are executing contracts within about the first 4 weeks, if at latest 8 weeks. So within the first month or two. And again, I have students who will come in, and in the first 2 weeks, and again, you can go listen to Wholesaling Inc. where I'm at, and I'm interviewing the students. So you can go listen to these guys talk about it, but they'll tell you, I picked up 3 contracts in the first 2 weeks because the phone starts ringing because the audience has not heard this message before.
That's really good. I mean, that is a quick return too. So talk about some of your student success. Is there anyone that stands out that you feel like you could share their success story?
Yeah. So I will talk about a guy that I've got up in the Northeast. And so I brought him on. He started, sorry, it took me a sec for his name because you have so many students. Joe Terrio. So I apologize. I was waiting for that name to kick in. So Joe Terrio is up from the Northeast area. And so he came in, and in 5 months, he is now on 15 radio stations. That's how fast he snowballed.
Wow.
I was like, whoa. And so, again, he's smart. He understands the game. He's doing really well on the cash offer side. Again, this doesn't matter if you're wholesale, fix and flip, buy and hold. It's all the same. You need the opportunities. But he's like me. He also has a retail side too. So remember, we're not just doing the cash offers. Now we're also getting listings for the retail side.
Okay.
And now we're doubling down on it. And so Joe's a prime example. If I look at a guy that goes, I went from 0 stations to 15 and I did it in 5 months because I was getting such fast success that I snowballed it. And he would
That's
be like,
awesome.
kind of like one of our poster childs for how well it worked for him.
That's awesome. So you're teaching your students to basically become, am I hearing that right? Become agents so they can list with
No,
agencies?
no, no, no.
Okay.
I'm just saying you have that capability. So
Okay.
this marketing channel is for the real estate investor, but I always encourage people to take advantage of the retail. I don't care if you're doing direct mail
Mhm.
or whatever. You're going to get people that call in that want to list their property, not get a
Right.
cash offer. So I recommend capitalizing on those by either getting licensed yourself or bringing somebody in that's licensed or outsourcing it to a buddy that's
Yeah.
licensed and at least get a cut off of the deal. And
You
so
have to
that's my
vertically
recommendation.
integrate the business, right?
Multiple streams of, again,
Yeah.
it's exit strategies, right? Retail is just another exit strategy.
Absolutely. So you mentioned that this is totally virtual. Is there anything because of the marketing strategy that makes it different or that you have to tweak about your virtual business in order to adjust because of this radio strategy?
No, I mean,
Yeah,
radios, yeah, it does not affect. If anything, it supports my virtual world of not having brick and mortar because it doesn't require as much management.
got it. What are
And
some
so,
of the things that, if people are thinking about starting radio, the objections that they have that you help them to overcome?
yeah, again, we hit on a couple of them. I'll say another one that I hear, it's not going to work for my market. So there's three types of markets out there. There's small, mid-size, and large. So I'm in Dallas Fort Worth doing deals. That's a large market, right?
Hmm.
What I find is it works in every market, and here's why. In the small market, you're not going to have as many radio options, right? But here's what you're going to have: really inexpensive rates. I have students that will get up in small markets starting at like $500 a month in a
Wow.
small market because it's so cheap. And the plus side of a market like that is like you get on like 4 or 5 stations, everyone in the town knows who you are. Like you can own like the town, which is really easy. So that makes a small market great. If we go over to the large market, yeah, it's more competitive, it's more expensive, but man, you talk about the ability to scale.
Mm.
So like in my market, as I mentioned, I got a budget of 27,500 a month. I could probably push it in DFW up to 50 before I think I potentially saturated. Maybe 45 is what we figured. But even at 27.5, like I get texts all the time that people are like, I hear you're at. And I'm going to hit these 2 points though that are really crucial. Two things that you get with radio that you don't get with direct mail or bandit signs. You get celebrity status and you get instant credibility. So people listening right now, they want to build their brand.
Hmm.
But the problem is you can't build your brand through a spamming form of lead generation because you don't want to put your company on there because everyone's going to hate you.
Right.
Right? So radio is professional. It's sophisticated. You can be proud of it. It's not sleazy. So the thing that you get on top of that is you get celebrity status. And that is, here's what happens in the mind of people that see you on radio or television. This is where we get celebrities from. Psychologically, we elevate those people. It's like, oh my
It's
gosh,
true.
that's
It's
that
true.
guy I see on television all the time, or that lady, that attorney in my town. I always hear her radio ads, and like I saw her walking in the grocery store the other day. It's like, why did you need to like point to the person next to you? It's just an attorney, but you've elevated her because she's a celebrity status in your mind.
I'm
And then all of a
instantly
sudden,
thinking of Better Call Saul from what's
exactly.
it called?
Better call
Breaking Bad.
Saul.
Yep.
I love it. And then behind that, you get instant credibility, which is, well, if you're on radio, you must know what you're talking about. So for the newbie, what I like to tell people is, let's say you got some big dogs in your area. And you're like, how do I compete against these guys? Well, if you go in with celebrity status and instant credibility, it'll help you go against the guy that's been in there longer than you in the sense of time and has done more transactions. So now you're starting to leveling the playing the field pretty quickly.
That's awesome. All right. Before we wrap up here, I've got one more question. If someone is ready to jump into radio, uh, it seems like from everything that we're talking about here, it's just as simple as calling up your radio station and getting an ad on there, but you're doing a coaching program for this. So what are some of the reasons why someone would want to have a coach or someone helping them to master radio rather than just going and doing it themselves?
Great question. You can try it. We get people that come to us because they try it on their own. It's the amount of variables that you have to line up. Are you going to run a 30-second spot or a 60-second spot? Statistically, which one is better? Number two, what are you going to say in that ad? When are you going to advertise? Are you going to advertise Monday through Friday? Are you going to advertise nights? Are you going to advertise weekends? What stations should you choose? Let's say you got 4 country stations and you think all of those are, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It
there's a
just
lot.
keeps going with all of these decisions. And so all that someone is paying for in my world, and I pay for speed. I don't know about you. I have tons of coaches when I want to learn something, is that we spent 10 years split testing all this, and we know the magical variable formula that we learned by spending a lot of money and making mistakes. And so what we're doing is giving somebody a plug and play model where we literally just take our system, how we do it, and we just plug it into your business and your market, and you turn it on and start generating leads. That's why you pay
I
for
don't
speed.
I don't think there's anyone I know that's successful that hasn't invested in education with either time or money. And I think what you just said there is the reason for education. It's compressing time. It's, hey, you might be able to figure this out and you might have the level of success you want after 3 years, but wouldn't you rather do that in 3 to 4 months?
I agree.
And yep,
That's why it's the biggest cost, one of the biggest costs on my P&L every
yeah,
year. Like my CV goes, I cannot believe how much money you spend on education. But it's what got me here. Like
yeah,
I can go further and faster with a coach than I can ever go on my own. So
100%.
I'm always just like, I'll pay for it if you can show me how to do it rather than me having to go try to figure it out through trial and error. That's a waste of my time.
100%, man. Well, how can people get connected with you so they can join your education program and start to learn the how of doing this radio deal?
Yeah, again, if you're listening, here's the thing. I've been in the game long enough. There's a lot of what I call shiny objects, right? I've lost a lot of money listening to people tell me that something's going to work. So I tell anyone, I don't care what program we're talking about, it starts with questions and do
Hmm.
your due diligence. So what we recommend is you start by booking a call. You got to first make sure your market's open because we're minimizing the amount of people per market. So we preserve radio and it doesn't get saturated. And so what you want to do is you want to book a call, ask questions, see if your market's open. And I encourage you to ask a ton of questions. Make sure it's the right fit for you. And you can do that by going to wholesalinginc.com/REI radio. Again, wholesalinginc.com/REI radio. And of course, for free material, after you book a call or whatever, and you're just like, man, I like this guy's story. It's interesting. He's doing everything out of Mexico. Just go to my YouTube, which is Chris Arnold Real Estate, and you can get free, valuable information over there as well on my YouTube and subscribe.
That's awesome. All right. Well, we'll have all that in the show notes for you guys, and stay tuned to hear what link that is going to be at for the show notes. Chris, thanks so much for helping out our audience today. Any last words before we log off?
No, man, I had a really good time. And again, obviously, I'm passionate about radio because it's really impacted my business right now. So, what I tell anyone right now, the thing you got to be looking at is finding a good marketing channel. And so I think we're all right now kind of turning things around and trying to figure out what we all want to do next. So I'm honestly really grateful to have radio. It's consistent.
Perfect. Chris Arnold, thank you so much for being on the show and for helping our audience to conquer the world of investing, man.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
Show notes for this one, super simple, fearlesskyle.com/Chris Arnold. Exactly how you would think of it. CHRISARNOLD. And Chris, like he mentioned, has all those resources to get started with him. Just go to the show notes. It'll be right there for you. I love all of these reasons why to do radio. I'm considering it now. And I would definitely say no matter what, you've got to have multiple marketing campaigns going and never stop networking. Never, never, never stop networking. I was just talking about that with someone the other day. It's free, it's valuable, and it is the essence of, I think, why we're put on this earth is to build great relationships with people that are symbiotic, that are giving and taking, and it's equal. It's something that continues to help each other. And so make sure you're doing one of these types of marketing campaigns and match it up with networking, and you will be winning in real estate. So I hope you had a good time here on the show today and that you learned more about how to conquer the world of investing. We'll see you next time on The Fearless Investor.